Alright guys, welcome to the second lecture of the medical terminology portion of this course. This lecture we're going to be talking about the organization of the body. Some of the learning objectives and things that we really need to cover in this lecture is going to be naming the body systems and their functions. We'll identify body cavities and specific organs within them. We'll talk about the divisions of the back, identify 3 different planes of the body, and then of course we're going to be able to analyze, pronounce, and spell new terms related to organs and tissues within the body. So organization of the body, it starts on the cellular level. Okay, cells are the smallest and individual units found in all parts of the human body. There are many different types of cells throughout the body. You have muscle cells, epithelial cells, nerve cells, bone cells, and so on and so forth. Now, tissues are similar groups of cells that are grouped together to do a specific job. So for example, epithelial tissue. It's located all over the body. It forms the linings of internal organs and the outer surface of the skin covering the body. In addition, it lines the exocrine and endocrine glands. Okay? Another example would be muscle tissue. Now, voluntary muscle is found in arms and legs and parts all over the body where movement is under conscious control. And then involuntary muscle tissue is found in the heart and digestive system as well as other organs, and it allows movement that is not under conscious control. Organs are structures composed of several different types of tissues. Okay? Organs located in the abdomen are the liver, the stomach, the intestines, the pancreas, the spleen, the gallbladder. It could also include the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, and the intestines. Now a system is a group of organs, or different groups of organs, working together to perform complex functions. Now these systems could include the circulatory, the lymphatic, digestive, endocrine, female-male reproductive system, the musculoskeletal, nervous, skin and sense organs, and the urinary system. Now we're going to talk about each individual group of system coming up in these next slides. So the circulatory system, its job is to circulate blood throughout the body. So the parts of that system are going to include the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. Now blood vessels include both artery and veins. The digestive system. Its function is to bring food into the body, break it down so it can absorb it into the bloodstream. And we already talked about some of these ones. Starts with the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the intestines are the main organs, and then you have your accessory organs in that system as well. The endocrine system. It's composed of different glands throughout the body, and they send chemical messengers called hormones into the blood, such as testosterone, estrogen, adrenaline. Those types of things are endocrine glands, are produced by endocrine glands, sorry. You have your female and male reproductive systems, and basically their function is to produce the cells that join to form the embryo and to create offspring. The musculoskeletal system includes bones, joints, muscles, and connective tissues, both ligaments and tendons, and it supports the body and allows it to move. Okay? It gives its framework to the body. The nervous system, okay? It carries electrical messages to and from the brain and spinal cord. The respiratory system controls your breathing. A process in which air enters in the body, it's exchanged in the lungs, and then it leaves the body as well. Skin and sense organs, okay? including the skin and eyes and ears. Basically, it receives messages from the environment and sends them into the brain. The urinary system produces urine and sends it out of the body through the kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra. So those are the main systems throughout the body. Now, the body is broken up into different cavities as well. Now, a cavity is just like a hollow space. It's a space hollowed out to house different organs. Now, you have your cranial cavity, which would be the head. Okay, and that organ includes the brain, and that's basically the only organ that is in the cranial cavity. The thoracic cavity, which is your chest cavity, could include the lungs, the heart, are different types of organs there. The esophagus, the trachea, the bronchial tubes are also some organs within the thoracic cavity. Your abdominal cavity includes your stomach, your large and small intestines, spleen, your pancreas, the liver. Those are all housed in the abdominal cavity. A couple more cavities here. You have your pelvic cavity, okay, which is around your waist, your loin area. includes the urinary bladder, ureters, okay, which lead from the ureters are the tubes that lead from the kidneys to the urinary bladder, your urethra, which leads it from the urinary bladder to the outside of the body, your rectum and anus, and the ureters. Uterus. The spinal cavity is kind of different. It runs up and down the back there, but it houses the spinal column and the nerves and spinal cord. Okay, and basically spinal column is the backbones, and the spinal cord is the nervous tissue within the spinal cavity. So nerves enter and leave the spinal cord and carry messages to and from all parts of the body. Now there are different divisions of that spinal column. Now when I talk about spinal column, I'm talking about the actual backbones here. You have your cervical or neck region, okay, which is right here, okay? So these 7 cervical vertebrae. Then you have your thoracic or your chest region, okay? Each rib is connected to a thoracic vertebrae. So there are 12 thoracic vertebrae there. You have your lumbar, loin, or waist, okay? Your lumbar is your lower back region. Your sacrum, or your sacral region is your sacrum or lower back, okay? And then you have your coccygeal, which is basically your tailbone, your coccyx or tailbone region, and those are in the back, at the very bottom of that spinal column. And then we're going to talk about the planes before we get into the different words that we're going to see in this chapter. So different planes of the body. The frontal plane, so it is a vertical plane that divides your body or body part, such as an organ, from the front and back portion. So it's like drawing a line directly down the center of your body and separating the front from the back. That is the frontal or coronal plane. The sagittal plane. It's another type of vertical plane that divides the body from right and left sides. So it's still like splitting your body right up and down, separating it from the left and right side. And that is known as the sagittal or lateral plane. The mid-sagittal plane divides the body vertically into left and right halves. And then you have your transverse or axial plane, which is, it divides the body and or organ into upper and lower portions, or as in a cross section. Okay, it's kind of like cutting your body in half and having an upper portion and a lower portion. That plane right there is the transverse or axial plane. So let's get into the terminology that we're going to use, go through this chapter. Okay, guys. Abdominal means abdomen. Okay. Anter is front. So when you hear the word like anterior, that means pertaining to the front. The anterior side of a building is the front side of a building. Broncho refers to the bronchial tubes. So you can see like bronchitis would be a word they used here. Cervico is the neck of the body, or the neck of the uterus, the cervix of the uterus. So it's important to know the difference there. You have chondro, which relates to cartilage. Coccygeo, which is your coccyx or tailbone. Cranio is your skull. Epithelii, or epithelio, would be the skin or surface tissue. And esophago would be your esophagus. Hepatitis would be an example of that, refers to liver. Leparo is another word for abdomen, so you have abdomino and leparo, so be aware of that. Laryngo is your larynx or your voice box. Latero pertains to the side, so lateral is how you'll see that word. It's pertaining to the side. Lumbo is your loin or waist. Lympho is pertains to lymph, which is a clear fluid in tissue spaces and lymph vessels. You have mediastinum, which is your mediastinum, which is the space between your lungs, okay? A couple more words here. You got pelvo, which refers to the pelvis or the bones of your hip. Peritoneum refers to the peritoneum, which is the membranes that surround your abdomen. You got your pharyngo, which is your pharynx or your throat, different than the laryngo, okay? Be aware of that. You can have pharyngitis or laryngitis. Okay, those are two different diseases, guys, so two different parts there. Pleuro refers to the pleura. Posterio or postero refers to back or behind. It's the exact opposite of anterior. Posterior would mean behind or back. Sacro refers to the sacrum, which are those 5 fused bones in the lower back. kind of bring your hip and your spinal column together. And then you have your spinal, which is your spine or your backbone. A couple more here, guys. You have thoraco, which pertains to the chest. We talked about thoracic vertebrae. Okay, that was your chest vertebrae, okay? Tracheo is your trachea, or your windpipe. And then you have vertebro, which pertains to your vertebrae, or your backbone, individual backbones. And that is all the words for today's lesson, guys. It's a pretty easy section, but there is a lot there because we are talking about all of the organs and systems in the body. So really take some time going through the study guide and have fun, enjoy yourselves, learn something, and let me know if you have any questions.